Howdy everyone, it's me, back for a quick little video. I just want to talk about comic books in this one. So I know half of you already clicked off, so who gives a fuck? Um, it's it's a weird it's weird being a comic book fan at the moment. Um, it feels like, and I've never gone to any of my school reunions, but it feels like when you like in the movies where like the character goes back to like their high school reunion and like or meets a friend from their childhood and that person's like grown into like a person who just has nothing in common and maybe has made bad decisions or just isn't right for you as a human anymore. And despite all the memories you had of them as kids, you realize like there's no room for you as adults. That's kind of how I feel about mainstream comics and even indie comics at the moment. Um, a while back, you guys, some of you probably remember, I said that I would no longer be talking about like DC and Marvel and Image and all that, like basically eating themselves from the inside. I don't want to drama farm. I don't want to contribute to any of that. I don't think it's conducive to anything positive. And so I've held true to that. I just don't talk about it anymore. Because, like I said, any publicity is good publicity, and so long as people are thinking about these characters and companies, then they're winning, as far as I'm concerned. Um, but that's not to say that I don't pay attention, because one day they might do something good and they might win me back. And I'd love that because I like these characters. I grew up reading them. I want to know more. Like there's so much room for so much stuff. Um, but so far they haven't proven themselves worthy of me yet. But the point I'm trying to say is I've been paying attention. Algorithms push news stories to me from crappy publications with AI writers, because that's the world we live in, talking about all this crap. And I see some key art here and there, and I go, "Oh, that's interesting. What's going on there? What's Batman doing? Who's this new villain? Like, what's all this?" And like the cover arts look good, etc. And then I um, I look at a few pages from the comic books, and my heart sinks, and it's like, what on earth are people doing? Um, so many like big comic books look like they're drawn by Tumblr fan artists these days, and there's no detail. Like you can see a degradation if you pick up a comic book. Because I still read the classics. I'm reading the 89 to 90 run of X-Men at the moment, where it's sort of Jim Lee steps in and starts drawing, and like the introduction to Gambit and all that. I'm having a blast with it. Um, but like you look at comic books, you go and look at things like the Long Halloween, Batman Year One, all that sort of stuff, and you look at like 2003 to 2010 kind of era DC, and the art's fantastic as well. And I'll put some stuff up on the screen for you guys to see. And then you look at what they're doing today, and there's just everything's flat, and there's no detail, and there's like it's like, oh, it's 3D models. And look, that's the worst part is it's not even just those mainstream publishers who can afford really good art. I mean, maybe they can't afford really good art, and that's why this is happening. Who knows? But then you look at indie comics, right? And you look at Eric July, and I mean, can't say I wasn't right about all of that, hey? But you look at what he's done and his company, and these are, professional artists and writers, and they've completely phoned it in. Like they don't give a shit. Like the passion's gone. Which is exactly why you hire passionate indie artists who want to make a name for themselves, because they're not going to phone it in if they want to make a name for themselves, which is exactly what that tangent. Watch my other video that everyone got their panties in a twist at me for. But the point I'm trying to make is it just seems like there's no passion in the industry anymore, and that no one cares. But before I say that, I mean, it's a bit of a lie, because I mean, and some of you guys aren't gonna like this. The only person at the moment who's actually putting out comics where the art is absolutely fantastic, and the whole production from beginning to finish of reading these books, from paper quality to art to story, that's actually at like a serviceable level, is Ethan Van Sciver. I pause to let you guys all, wipe your asses. Um, I don't know him as a person. I've seen him online. I've read his work since I was a kid. Um, the books I'm using, the wizard books I'm using to learn to draw, he sort of had a part in that and has quotes and tips, etc. in. So there's a mutual respect for the craft there. And I would love to talk to him. That would be very interesting. But fact is, regardless of whether people like him, don't like him, or anything like that, he's the only person out there at the moment that's actually trying. Yeah. And that's sad. Sad because it's just one person. And also sad because there's millions of dollars being pumped into these books right now that just suck. And it's hard because you know, the realities kind of hit me that, I'm just reading old comics over and over again these days. And I'm trying to find good indie comics to talk about. Because let's be honest, if I read most of the crap that people tell me to read, this would be such a negative channel of me just shitting all over everyone's work. And I don't want to do that, which is why I'm not talking about your books. You gotta improve. And I know it's a lot for me to say. And all's fair in love and war. Feel free to take a big dump right on my head when I eventually release my work. As well, if it's not to standard, but be honest if it is. That's all I ask. But yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad, and that's how I've been feeling about comic books over the last few months, and well, probably longer than that. But it's really been dawning on me recently, and yeah, I'm just kind of falling out of love with comic books at the moment. I still love them equally, and I've got all these great memories and bookshelves full of amazing stories that I can read. I just wish the new stuff was as good as the old stuff. Is that too much to ask? Or that, some indie company comes along and actually puts out good stuff and surprises me? Is that too much to ask as well? Um, like a indie comic book company that actually care about comic books and aren't trying to, shove their political penises down your throat. That would be lovely. And they just want to tell good stories and not fight the culture war. But then, like, I'm not even going to get into it because it's all stupid. And I told you so. But yeah, is it too much to ask? Like, where's all the passionate comic book creators? And don't go in the comments and be like, it's all the people in comics. Like, no, it's not. Like, maybe 3 or 4 of them are, and the other 100 are grifters. And we know that because they're constantly fighting each other and changing sides and arguing and all this shit and not putting out comic books. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding fucking sucks. That's comic books these days. Very few people actually care and are putting out good stuff. And the only people who are sort of swinging money around and trying to do anything are making it worse. And that's how I feel. Feel free to get mad at me in the comments. I don't give a shit.